At my desk, I have a laptop, which isn't too unusual, but I also have a desktop. And I want to be able to connect either of these to my outputs, such as my speakers, but I also want to switch and use my headphones whenever I need to. Or, in other words, I want to be able to connect to either one using my laptop, speakers, or headphones. But also, without disconnecting anything or changing any settings, I want to be able to use my desktop and also use the exact same outputs. To do that, I'm going to make a device which makes this very easy. I started by designing and 3D printing an enclosure for the device. This front panel will hold the inputs and outputs, and this box will help to protect the connections between all the inputs and switches. You can see it fits together perfectly, and it does have a hole at the top, which doesn't really matter for me because this is going to go under my desk and will be hidden away. The actual electrical hardware components I'll be using are 3.5mm audio jacks, which will serve as the input and output connections, and how I will control the inputs and outputs with this device are these toggle switches. The configuration of these switches allows each switch to control two audio channels independently, which will be very handy because I'll have one switch that controls which input device is active and one to control which output device is active. And all of them will connect to this panel. This nut will hold the toggle switch, and the collars across the top will hold the audio jacks. As you can see, with everything in place, looks pretty sweet. Now I just have to screw everything in without dropping anything, which is easier said than done. But I'll probably figure it out. I found the key to screwing in the switches with nothing falling out is to simply have a lot of luck. But assuming you have that, and I do, as shown by this video proof, then everything turns out a-okay. Well, that's assuming I have enough luck to screw in everything else. But, it's doing alright. Well, my luck held out. I don't have any left, but look how beautiful this is. It doesn't do anything yet. There's no cables. But this is the foundation of the device. 4 audio jacks for 2 inputs, 2 outputs, and 2 switches. But will everything still fit in my beautiful little box? Oh, like a glove. Look at that. Perfect. Isn't it beautiful? And I can still see in from the top. See, the hole is functional. Boom. Now it's time to prepare the wires. The only wire strippers worth using. Oh, isn't that nice? And we gotta trim the wires. And after all that, we have some beautiful color-coded wires. White and yellow for each audio channel, and then black for our ground signal. The best part, made some sprinkles. That'll be some good fuel for the soldering I'm about to do. Alright, I think those sprinkles might have been a little intense, and they were definitely not edible. But the soldering's going great, as you can tell. I haven't even burned myself. Soon, this device will be functional. Very nice. And just like that, I've taken the board from no wires to boom. Beautiful. Functional. Perfect. My steady surgeon hands are gonna let us see what's going on here. Each audio jack sends a left and right channel to each switch. So one switch controls 2 jacks. So one switch will control what input is active, and the other switch will control what output is active. And by connecting the middle of each switch together, that lets me connect any of the inputs to any of the outputs by toggling the switches. Those of you who are on your toes today might wonder, what's the difference between an input and output jack hardware-wise for this project? There isn't one, they're the same jack. So to stop the signals from doing weird things, you have to kind of, by convention, have both your inputs with one toggle switch and both your outputs with the other. So for example, left 2 jacks for inputs, right 2 for outputs. Alright, so last thing to do is plug in this last audio output here. So now we're ready to test. So it's a little different from the beginning diagram, but have one audio input here, another here, and we have an output and another output. So let's say you're trying to play some old school RuneScape soundtrack jams. How's that gonna work? So right now, this is neutral, there is no connection. So say I want to connect to this. I will actually flip the switch in the direction opposite of that because I made things more difficult for myself than they needed to be. But now we're in business. So then let's say I want to connect to the phone. Similar type of thing. Actually put the switch away from the device you want to use. Then boom. As hopefully you can hear, now we're jamming. But let's say you want to switch it up and you want to use your other device. Just flip the switch. Actually, I'll start the music and we'll see what happens as we flip the switch. Easy. And if you want to make your ears bleed, you can switch immediately back. But now, what if you want to switch to using your other output? Well, as you can hopefully hear, it switched to the headphones. Boom. Easy. Thank you for watching.